Tesla shareholders just approved the largest pay package in history for Elon Musk, $56 billion, even as Tesla has laid off 14,000 workers.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's jump right into last week in Southern labor. So here's what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to from June the 7th to June the 14th. In new union campaigns, 571 workers across 8 bargaining units are in new union elections, and 137 workers across 2 bargaining units are in new decertification campaigns. The first one is the employer filed a petition to hold a union election after a majority of the 5 workers at the El Paso Electric Company in El Paso, Texas, demonstrated majority support for unionization with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 1245. 10 workers at Atomic Transport in Chattanooga, Tennessee, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters, Local 519. 15 workers in facilities maintenance at Weston Hotel in Washington, D.C., filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Union of Operating Engineers, IUOE, Local 99. The employer filed a petition to hold a union election after a majority of the 22 workers at Division 5 LLC in Hickory, North Carolina, demonstrated support for unionization with the International Association of Ironworkers, IW. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the United Steelworkers, USW, as the union representing the 64 workers at Mountain Enterprises in Hager Hill, Kentucky. 403 workers at Genera PR in San Juan, Puerto Rico, filed a petition to hold a union election with the USW. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, District 1199, as the union representing 73 workers at McDowell County Commission on Aging in Welch, West Virginia. 14 workers at Intralot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, filed a petition to hold a union election with the IBEW Local 995. 4 workers at John Fabic Tractor Company in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, filed a petition to hold a union election with IUOE Local 513. And 100 workers at Lufkin U.S. Acquisition Company in Claremore, Oklahoma, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAMAW. In election results, 27,675 workers across 8 bargaining units are newly unionized, most of that coming from the Fairfax education unions. 62 workers in 1 bargaining unit maintained unionization in a decertification election, and 29 workers in 1 bargaining unit withdrew their election petition. Starting off with 27,500 workers in Fairfax County Public Schools voting 97% in the instructional unit and 81% in the operational unit in favor of unionizing with the Fairfax education unions. 14 workers at Dallas Black Dance Theater in Dallas, Texas, voted unanimously with 100% turnout in favor of unionization with the American Guild of Musical Artists. 31 workers at Accordius Health in Wilson, North Carolina, voted 17-6 in favor of unionization with the United Food and Commercial Workers, UFCW Local 1208. 62 workers at Transcontinental ACUS LLC in Matthews, North Carolina, voted 37-19 for maintaining unionization with the Communication Workers of America, CWA Local 3603, in a decertification election. 10 security guards at Universal Protection Service in Washington, D.C. voted 5-1 in favor of unionization with the United Government Security Officers of America, UGSOA Local 259. 54 workers at Choice Adhesives in Lynchburg, Virginia, voted a majority in favor of unionization with the IBEW Local 2173. 6 workers at All Crane Rental of Georgia in Phoenix City, Georgia, voted 4-2 in favor of unionization with IUOE Local 312. 35 workers at True Timber Arborists in Richmond, Virginia, voted 23-5 in favor of unionization with the IAMAW. 25 workers at Sightline Media Group in Arlington, Virginia, voted 17-0 in favor of unionization with the Washington Baltimore News Guild, WBNG CWA Local 32035. 29 workers at Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits in Louisville, Kentucky, withdrew their petition for unionization with the Teamsters Local 783.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
In strikes and bargaining updates, even amid the assault on public sector labor in Florida, where a friend of the show, McKenna Schuler, reports that some 50,000 public sector workers have lost their union rights, some locals are building strength, like AFSCME, Local 871, where they passed the 60% threshold to maintain their union rights and actually climbed past that to an 85% union membership rate. They just ratified a new 3-year contract that contains an 18% pay increase, no concessions on pension and health care, and more. Tesla shareholders just approved the largest pay package in history for Elon Musk, $56 billion, even as Tesla has laid off 14,000 workers globally, including nearly 3,000 just in Texas, and as Tesla's stock price has fallen nearly 30% in just the last year. After years of organizing by the Union of Southern Service Workers, USSW, Waffle House is making the biggest investment in its workforce in the history of the company, giving a $3 an hour raise to thousands of workers at more than 1,500 stores in the South based on tenure, store location, and other factors. The union says it will continue fighting for a $25 an hour minimum wage. The SPLC union announced that SPLC will be laying off a quarter of its staff, including the entire immigrant rights team, despite the organization having over $1 billion in reserves and an F rating from Charity Watch for hoarding donations. The union is accusing the SPLC of strategically timing the layoffs less than a year before they begin bargaining for a second contract specifically to intimidate the workers. The defendants in the case filed by current and former inmates and unions against the Alabama Department of Corrections alleging forced labor and multiple employers. The multiple employers filed a motion to dismiss. Inmates responded with 214 pages opposing said motion. In political and legislative updates, the anti-worker Supreme Court came down with an anti-worker decision last week in Starbucks versus McKinney, which is a case based on the Memphis 7, stating that the NLRB must use a more strict test when seeking 10J injunctions to curtail the wanton lawbreaking of corporations, defying precedent and explicit language in the NLRA that courts should defer to the NLRB in matters surrounding the NLRA. NLRB attorney Brandon Magner doesn't think that this will materially change much, but it's never good for the NLRB to have any of the few tools that it has taken away. A proposed federal rule to protect indoor and outdoor workers from heat stress is now under review at the White House amid rising temperatures globally. The text of the proposal is not public, but OSHA has previously said protections could kick in at 80 degrees. Julie Sue, acting labor secretary, visited Birmingham last week touting the department's Good Jobs initiative. While in Alabama, Sue also visited the New Flyer plant in Anniston, where management voluntarily recognized the workers' union and they just secured a first contract with double-digit raises. The Council of Bosses in Alabama endorsed Democrat Kelvin Datcher in the District 52 special election. 24,000 CWA retirees will see their pensions restored to solvency after receiving a lifeline from the American Rescue Plan. And in internal union affairs, the Alabama political reporter's Chance Phillips wrote a good summary of a recent webinar on, quote, organizing collective action and the National Labor Relations Board, which featured high-profile labor leaders and the NLRB's General Counsel Jennifer Abruzzo. A significant portion of the webinar was devoted to ongoing organizing efforts in the South. The federal monitor tasked with overseeing the UAW after years of corruption has announced a probe into new President Shawn Fain as 2 other leaders accuse him of retaliation, and the monitor accuses him of slow-walking access to documents. Fain says that these accusations are just the growing pains of a union taken over by reformers, but where the old guard is still present. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Tesla shareholders just approved the largest pay package in history for Elon Musk, $56 billion, even as Tesla has laid off 14,000 workers.